Well, hello there. This is Regina. As you might know, I'm speaking in my British accent for now because that's the most sophisticated thing to do. Welcome to our sophisticated blogging happy hour. You'll notice that my British accent is quite horrible, actually, so I'll slip in and out every so often. You'll have to forgive me for that. Actually, I better just do my American accent. That'll probably be better. So, for our sophisticated happy hour, what we're going to do is sip whatever drink, whatever beverage of your choice, and we're going to be talking social media. We're going to be talking how to really use social media to kind of grow your blog. And you guys can ask any questions you want. You'll press the little Q&A button and you'll be able to type in your question. I'll be able to see it live and I will answer. I'm going to start with an overview of social media. And actually, hold on everyone, I'm going to plug in a headset.
Our sophisticated happy hour, what we're going to do is dip whatever drink, whatever beverage.
So that the sound is a little bit better.
And we're going to be talking.
Okay, hopefully I didn't lose y'all there. Okay. So anyway, so grab your beverage. I have a selection of beverages. I'm going red wine and also coffee and tea and water, so whatever you feel like. And I did try and dress somewhat sophisticated for you guys. You see the blazer, but underneath is my turtle shirt, and I totally have pajama pants on, so forgive that. Anyway, so what you'll want to grab before we get started, if you had a chance to print it off, are the worksheets that go with this Sophisticated Blogging Happy Hour, and also the checklist that was on my site, byRegina.com. So those will help because I'll be referring to them throughout the time. So anyway, format again is very informal. I'm going to do an overview, I think, of kind of what is best with social media, how you should view it, some of the myths that you want to avoid with social media for bloggers. And then it's all question time. I have a few questions that were submitted beforehand, and you can submit questions live, okay? So we're about to get started. And as I'm talking, a lot of the points will be fillable, outable on your worksheet, so you can follow along there. So first thing we're going to do, if you see me looking up, it's because I'm looking at a poster board that I washi taped to a chair so I could not forget my talking points. Okay, so that is what I'm doing. I'm not spacing out. So anyway, overview. The first thing I want to talk about are the myths, the 3 myths that just absolutely annoy me. I'm going to sound a little bit like I'm complaining, mainly because I'm complaining. The 3 myths that really annoy me about social media that really, I think, affect bloggers negatively. You'll have to forgive all this extra noise in the background, guys. Give me just 1 second to figure out why.
That's the most sophisticated thing to do.
Why it's previewing. Okay, sorry. Got it. I know how to use the internet. Anyway, so 3 myths. Number 1 that I really get annoyed by is that there's the feeling that you have to be on all the different platforms for your blog. In order to grow your blog, you need to be on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google+, all of it, right? There are like 700 problems with that statement, but I will just go my top 3 or 4 so to save time. First off, your readers and your potential clients are not on all the platforms. Or if they're on them, they're not using all the platforms. So some platforms may actually be a waste of your time. This is going to sound horrible, but as an example, I just don't do LinkedIn really well. I don't use it very often. Please don't judge me. It's just not something I like. I don't use it. So if you are spending a bajillion hours promoting yourself in LinkedIn and doing all the best tips and tricks, whatever, I don't know why I'm doing ninja stuff, then I'm never going to see it. And if I'm one of your potential readers or potential clients, you're missing out, and you're probably wasting your time on LinkedIn, just as an example. So your readers are not necessarily everywhere, okay? My other problem with that myth is that if you're a one-person show, this is a one-man show, one-woman show, your blog, your business behind your blog, it is not a good use of your time to try and be everywhere and to be effective everywhere, because wherever you are, you want it to be excellent, and you want it to add value, and you want it to reflect well on your brand. So if you're trying to stretch yourself too thin and you're in 700,000 different places, X-nay. It's just not great for you. Another thing is your brand may not actually be a great fit for all the different platforms. There are some brands, because of their super corporate nature, they might not fit well with Instagram. I mean, that's typically for the younger generation, so to speak, and it's a very visual platform, obviously, and so that it may not be a good fit for them. You know, so there are a ton of examples for that. Not everyone's right for Pinterest, or not every brand is right for Pinterest. So you kind of have to judge based on your brand. Another thing is, I think you should kind of focus on being where you can truly interact and make a difference with your qualified readers, your potential clients, people who would actually really identify with your brand and become regular readers. If those people are not in a specific platform, don't waste your time there. You just want to be where you can interact. So those are my reasons that I hate that first myth of you have to be on all the platforms. Okay, I'll be quicker on the other two. So the second myth is that the number of followers you have is super duper important. It's like the end all be all of social proof and social media. We've probably all done this to where we've like looked at a blogger on Instagram who has 2,000 Instagram followers or 20,000 Instagram followers or whatever seems like a large number to you. I think what you have to do is step back and think about the population of the entire world, right? Billions of people. And when you think about it, or even maybe just the population in your country or in your city or in your, I don't know, just your neighborhood, when you think about somebody who has hundreds and hundreds or thousands of followers, that number is so small and insignificant when you compare it to that larger population. And so I don't want numbers to kind of be a stumbling block for you, or just something that kind of, I don't know, affects you or makes you think negatively about whatever's going on with your blog, because it's not real. It's about connecting with quality. So I know a lot of bloggers, myself included, who are 2,000 and under in all of our platforms and are able to make full-time livings off of our blog. So it's not about numbers, okay? It is about the few numbers that you do have right now. Are those quality connections, and are they people that you take the time to interact with and really listen to and get to know? So not all about numbers. I think Alexandra Franzen, I think that's how you pronounce her name, she wrote a really great post on her blog recently about numbers and just about how you could kind of view when you have a smaller readership at first. And so she makes the point of, like, if you have 6 people, that's great. That's the same as entertaining a small dinner party. Or if you have, let's say 20, 50 people who are following you on social media or reading your blog, then you basically are entertaining a whole coffee shop. So I think that's a really great way to look at it. And I'm going to actually show you the blog post. I'm going to learn how to use screen share here really quickly. Actually, maybe I'll do that in a second because I am having a hard time with it. Yeah, I know how to use the internet, don't worry. Anyway, okay, here we go. No, not working. Okay, so next point, number 3 myth that I really dislike. And don't forget, you guys, I have questions that were previously recorded that I'll be answering, but you can add some in the section there on the right, the Q&A section. Number 3rd myth I really hate, number 3rd, that I really hate, is the 40-40-20 rule. It's the idea that you should have a specific percent or whatever of your content that you do in each platform. So 40-40-20, they usually explain that 40% should be professional, purposeful content, another 40% should be promotional, and then 20% should be personal. And a lot of marketers will tell you to use that model, that ratio or that model within Instagram, Twitter, all of the platforms. And I think there's a real problem with that because all of the platforms are different, so 40-40-20 doesn't work with all platforms. The other problem that I guess exists with that is it implies that there's some type of formula to how to be successful. And if there was one thing I would say about social media is there is etiquette, but there are not rules. truly, truly listen to that and take that to heart if you can. I mean, maybe somebody should even tweak that. Let's tweet that. In hashtag social media, there is etiquette, but there are not rules. And so if you spend a lot of time, that would be my fourth myth. If there was a fourth myth, you have to do what the big name marketers tell you. That is a myth. A lot of those marketers, their audience is not your audience. Their issues are not your issues. And so I don't think there are specific rules that you have to follow. There's etiquette. You should learn the lingo. You should always try and be adding value and be very genuine. But there are not rules. There's not a specific amount of time that you need to spend on social media. There's not specific times of the day that you always have to post or you'll never reach anyone. And there's definitely not a 40-40-20 rule. I think ratios are useful because they can guide you, they can get you off to a start, but you have to modify that based on your audience and based on the platform that you're on. Okay? So those are my 3 myths, or 4 really if you add the whole don't just do what the big name marketers tell you to do, which I'm sure you guys already knew. But those would be my myths. So as a just kind of an overview of how to use social media, I would say stay away from those myths and think about how you can add value at all times. It's not necessarily about sharing your blog. Blog traffic growth will come as you add value. Okay? So I am actually going to now switch into answering a question that was asked by Maru, and then we'll hop down. So we've answered the first part of this worksheet. We'll hop down here about Google Plus in a second, but I want to answer Maru's question because I think it's a good tie-in with everything. So let me grab my iPad. Get it, right? It's like the Apple logo. I'm sure there's copyright infringement. I don't have an iPad, so anyway, I'm just grabbing my notebook. So Maru asked, what do you use each social platform for? Do you share the same info on all of them? What is the best strategy here? So definitely, I would say that this differs by brand, Maru, and by your intent. But in general, each platform is wildly different, has crazy different audiences, and way different purposes. If I was trying to break it down, I would say that Instagram is best for life, behind-the-scenes type shots, portfolio, and then also kind of inspirational stuff. I think Instagram is one of the greatest places to actually comment on other people's pictures and really start to interact with other people and see what they're interested in their life beyond whatever it is they do on their blog, or if they're your readers. Definitely it's great to start asking them questions about their interests and encouraging them to post more, and just commenting on their blog, on their Instagram pictures in a genuine way. So Instagram, life, behind the scenes, portfolio work of your work, your blog posts, or if you're a designer, you would do your designs, obviously, websites, things like that you're creating, and then also inspiration is great on Instagram. Twitter, I like to use this for links to relevant info. This could be on my site or this could be somebody else's site that I think anyone who's following me on Twitter might find useful. I use the mess out of Twitter for conversation. I love it for conversation. I think people really benefit from just being able to ask questions and interact in real time. I think that's what's so great about Twitter. I think Twitter is a really awesome place to share other people's works and to just kind of link to them, include a whole lot of content from other people on Twitter. I think that's the sweetest way to make relationships and really be a genuine promoter and helpful to the people who are following you. And then my big new obsession on Twitter is chats, Twitter chats. There are Twitter chats that revolve around all sorts of topics, and I think that you can find something super useful related to your industry or that your readers would be a part of. Personally, in the creative industry, my favorite chat is Bliss Chat, hashtag Bliss, B-L-I-S-S chat, where tons of creatives get together on Thursday nights. It just ended before this call. So anyway, I love that. I love using it for chats that can build your followers but build real connections. Google Plus is a place that you can use to share real insight. It's somewhere between a tweet and a Facebook post and a whole blog post. So you can use Google Plus to share slightly longer pieces of information, and still images are huge with Google Plus. And I would say that a whole entire different audience exists on Google Plus than exists on some of your other networks. So definitely worth a check out. Pinterest is everything visual. and it is the visual component of stuff that's not visual. So if you have an information-based blog, I know, for example, you, Mara, who asked this question, you do fashion and all sorts of stuff, so that's stuff that's totally visual. But if you're like me and it's more about information, you can use Pinterest, do an image that kind of represents whatever the article is that you're linking to, and add that to Pinterest, because people go to Pinterest not only for information, not only for inspirational images, but also for information. So I see that people are adding questions on the side, and that is awesome. And just keep that up. And so Erica, for example, just now asked, how do you find those Twitter chats? Which is a great question, because you want to find something that is on topic for your industry. And I know this is going to sound like the most basic answer ever, Erica, I'm sorry, but I would say just Google it. I'd say do a search with whatever your preferred search engine is. Google is not paying me. On Twitter chats for blank, and add your what you do, or Twitter chats in blank industry. Also, a lot of other bloggers will often just blog about what Twitter chats they're a part of. Lastly, I would just ask people that you like on Twitter, hey, do you know of any Twitter chats that you like, or that would be good for people like us? So that's actually how I found all the Twitter chats that I like, is a blog post on eyesofstyle.com. One of my friends wrote a blog post, and I read it, and was like, hey, I want to try that. And it's crazy, because Twitter chats are actually a great way, not that this is the purpose, but you'll find that you get a ton of new followers if you interact with the Twitter chat and really, take it seriously. So how do you find those Twitter chats? I would just look for them on Google or another search engine. Thank you for that question, Erica. So anyway, so as you can see, just with all of those different platforms, there's something different that you can do with each of them. Obviously, with Facebook, I would go very, very visual, and also use links a lot in answer to your question, Maru. So there are different things that you do with each of them. Twitter, you're going to keep things obviously a lot shorter. And again, it's more about the relationship on Twitter. I would like to propose that we all view Twitter as text messages between friends that the whole world happens to be able to see. And if you think about it like that, would you waste somebody's time with this particular text message? Then don't send it as a tweet. Did you find out something really cool that you want your friend to know? Would you normally send it as a text if you had their phone number? Okay, well then it might make a good tweet. So that's kind of how I would stay conversational with Twitter. And anyway, so moving on, that's kind of just an overview, and we'll go into a little bit more of that. Next, I want to answer Kaylee's question, and this is actually back onto our worksheet now. And this was her question was, how can, let me actually read it. I was wondering if you could go over the benefits of using Google+. It would be great to know if there's an audience I'm missing out on by not using. And that was from Kaylee. I appreciate that, Kaylee. So what I decided to do is break it down into 5 unique ways that bloggers can use Google+. And again, this is on our worksheet. So that first way is circles. So this is a feature that is unique to Google+. You can actually create circles, and you can put the different readers that you connect with and clients that you connect with into different circles. So for example, I teach classes online, I teach classes in real life, I have people I have connected with through my blog, also through Twitter chats, all sorts of stuff. And so I have different circles. So if I ever want to update just the people in Austin who have taken a class with me before, that I'm offering another class in Austin or another workshop in Austin, then I can send out a Google+ update just to that circle. So it allows me to tailor the information that I want to send to specific groups that I've connected with. And so you just have to be kind of purposeful as you get into Google+ to be smart about your circles and who you're adding to where, and you can add people to more than one circle. But I think that is one of the major benefits. So I know with your brand specifically, Kaylee, you're planning on your blogging, and you do have like somewhat of an information-based brand. And so one great thing might be if you have multiple different topics on your blog, or let's say you're a lifestyle blogger and you have multiple things that you talk about, a great way to do things like that would be to make a circle for people who just seem to be interested in DIY projects, and then make a circle for people who seem to be interested in your coaching services or learning more about your information-based products. And that way, when you're tweeting out a link, or excuse me, Google Plusing out a link to your most recent post, you can send it to the circle that it most applies to, okay? So, I'm sorry, just reading a comment there on the side from someone that was laughing at my iPad. Again, right? The app, I think it deserves more of a laugh than you guys are giving it, but whatever. Anyway, so number one, Google Plus is really great for those circles that you can do. Second thing, communities. One of my favorite features of Google Plus, and honestly the only reason I used it for a while, is because I think the communities are a lot cleaner, if you will, than on Facebook. So on Google Plus, you can get into these communities of people. So for example, Kayla Hollitz, I think that's how you say your last name, Kayla. I don't know. I've only ever seen it on the internet. Kayla has this creative circle community. She has this creative community, and it's this place that I go to pretty much find other people's blog posts that I might be interested in. And I'm going to try and screen share one more time, you guys, so I can actually show you this, because I think it's so, so useful. And so if I mess up this whole screen share situation, then don't laugh at me. I promise I know how to do the internet. Okay, whatever. You get what I'm saying. So let's figure this out. You can do it, Regina. Cheer for me, you guys. Okay. Nope, wrong. So I'm hoping that you guys are seeing this. If not, then this is just a horrible moment in internet history. Okay, you know what? I can't seem to get it to work the way I'd like it to, so forgive me. Anyway, so we will not be doing that any longer. So I wanted to show you the group, but I won't be able to do that right now. I promise I'll have that worked out for the next time we do that. Anyway, so she has these creative circles, and so people will get in there and basically share blog posts of their own, share other blog posts. They'll ask questions of each other. Hey, what's the best way to deal with this type of problem as a freelancer, as a blogger, as a whatever? And I think it's super helpful to be able to do that and have that feature. So communities are my second favorite feature of Google Plus for bloggers. The third thing is that I think the people are very different on Google Plus. There's a different environment, for sure. And so, for example, with Twitter, people are very just kind of in the moment, looking for news, want to have a laugh, share some information really quickly, get some recommendations, have a conversation, bam. On Google Plus, people are there more for inspiration or deeper insight into a matter. Typically, people are using it for very mature purposes, as opposed to some of the drama and other stuff that you might see on a Facebook or Instagram. You're not going to typically find as many people trolling and being obnoxious on Google+. I think a lot of the people that are there are very serious about their business, about their pursuits, and so it's just, it literally is, it's just different types of people. So the people are a great reason to get on, and there are a lot of people who don't fool with Facebook, or they don't, you know, Twitter overwhelms them, but they would be on a platform like Google+. So I do think you're missing out on certain people if you're not there. The fourth reason, or the fourth benefit for Google+, I think, is this right here, you know, this right here. You can do stuff like this. Even, hopefully, you have more technical abilities than I do, and you can do the screen share and all that fancy stuff. But yeah, this right here, you can do these Google Hangouts on air and really take the time to connect with your readers or your audience on a deeper level. You can also do private Google Hangouts, and in there I can always screen share quite effectively with your clients. You could do private trainings that are not broadcast unto the whole world like this one is. So this is a super great tool. This is not something that's available on any of the other social platforms, and it's definitely not this advanced, and it's definitely not this free, even if you use other conferencing software. Typically you're not going to find something free like this. So in answer to your question, Kayla, I think this is one of the biggest things that's great about Google+, because it really stands out and people take notice of it when you offer a free webinar or something like that. Lastly, the fifth thing is you can actually include different length information. So in Twitter, you're limited, to the 140 characters. On Facebook, nobody likes to press the read more button and read this like 7-paragraph long whatever story of business. That's just not what people are there for. But on Google Plus, you'll typically find people are a little more in the mood for longer information, somewhere again between like a tweet and a blog post. So if you want to just give out quick thoughts in the moment, so insight, something you learned, but it doesn't really make a whole blog post, Google Plus is a really great place to share that. And I would tell you that I think, and I'm going to get to those questions I see on the side in just a second, I would tell you that Peg Fitzpatrick is a great example of someone who does that very, very well. So she has hundreds of thousands of followers on Google Plus, but she will use, 30 lines of information and just communicate these longer thoughts, always with a very beautiful image, though. So that's my fifth way. So I'm just going to grab some of the questions on the side real quick, and then we'll get to some more information. So I'm going to grab Darlene's question. So she's asking, is it better to Google Plus as a brand or as an individual representing a brand? So I think this is a great question, and I'm going to assume what you're meaning is, should I start a Google Plus page for my entire brand, or should I have my personal page and just kind of be the representation of said brand and then kind of promote from that personal page? And so my answer to that is, I think it's always, always, always better to have that Google Plus page that is your brand. It's okay for you to be that brand, but I think even in Google's guidelines, they don't want you using your personal profile like a business. So it's kind of like Facebook in the same way that you wouldn't start a Facebook profile that requires a friend request as a business. You would start a business page, and so Google Plus is very similar to that. The other reason that's beneficial is that there are different features available for your brand page than there would be for you as a person. But I will say that if you have that personal, that's a great way for you to go in and connect, like join some of the Google Plus communities, go and connect with other bloggers, connect with other brands that you like, and still kind of socialize with that. But again, establish a separate brand page that can have all the links that you need it to have, that can promote different stuff, and that has different features. You're able to do something like this live hangout on air, and you're doing it under your brand and bringing attention to your brand. So that's kind of how I would handle that. If that didn't answer your question, Darlene, let me know. But thank you for that question. And next I'm going to grab Kaylee's question. Kaylee was the original person who asked the question about Google+. So how do you connect with these like-minded people on Google+? Do you need their emails? I literally know nothing about getting Google+ subscribers. Very, very, very good question. So for someone who is starting from zero on Google+, as we all are, right? We all started there. I think the very, very easiest way to do that, first off, if you use Gmail, it will suggest to you people on Google+ that you have been emailing back and forth with if you just open up Google+. If you sign up for Google+ and activate your account, it will suggest people to you based on your email contacts. So that's one way. But the easiest way, in my opinion, to do what you're saying is to join communities. Search for a community, bloggers, fashion bloggers, lifestyle bloggers, health coaches, whatever. Any kind of thing that you think is related to what you're doing, or maybe just outside of the circle of what you're doing. Search for those communities, open communities on Google+, and join some of them, and then look at all the different members in those communities. Another kind of, I guess, slower way to get that done would be to just hop on to the pages and blogs of people that you're connecting with and follow their Google+ link, because hopefully it is very obvious. So about getting subscribers, I would definitely, as soon as you sign up for Google+, get a little widget and put that in your sidebar for a time so people know that you're on Google+, because again, it's a whole different community. And they'll look at that and go, oh, look, Kaylee's on Google+, I'm going to go circle her. Literally, it happens. I've seen it happen. I started from 0 on Google Plus just a short time ago, so it can totally happen that way. But to answer your question, number one way, I would say join some communities or just stalk the communities and figure out, start circling some people within those communities. The easiest way, though, to get subscribers, I think, would be to do very unique Google Plus-y things like having a Hangout or, joining a community or creating a community. And I think that's when people start to subscribe you and want to get your updates, or circle you, excuse me, in Google Plus. So I hope that kind of answered you, Kaylee. If not, please let me know. I'm going to also grab this question from Kizura. So just found the Q&A button. Love your iPad. Thank you. See, someone appreciated my iPad. But anyway, do you feel that Facebook is beneficial? I'm contemplating letting go of my Facebook page and focusing on building my Google Plus page. Thoughts? I'm so glad you asked this question. Again, Facebook is not paying me, but I did recently go to a Facebook Fit conference, and I was like most of the world, a little bit frustrated with Facebook because, hold on one second, I forgot this is a happy hour. Got to take a sip of that wine. That is maybe bad because that didn't taste good. Anyway, I went to a Facebook Fit, and I was totally over Facebook, but I learned some new cool features about Facebook. So I'll share those in 1 second. But I would say, I think the answer to your question lies in where your people are at. So for me, the majority of my readers and friends and everyone connecting with me on my blog is my age, give or take, a few years or older. And for the most part, they're on Facebook still. A lot of them are scared of Twitter or just don't even mess with Instagram. They've never heard of Snapchat. Who uses that anyway? I'm sorry if you do. I don't know. Anyway, I feel like it's for kids, sending inappropriate stuff to each other, which is horrible. But anyway, for the most part, right, people that I'm trying to connect with are still on Facebook, and that's how they go find out about their friends having babies and engagements and all that stuff. So I want to stay there because a lot of my traffic still comes from there. So if you're debating whether Facebook, Google+, I'd say number one, go to your Google Analytics that you hopefully have installed and find out how much traffic is coming from Facebook. Number two, try spending dollars in Facebook ads just to promote your page a little more and see if you get more interaction and more likes. I'm not saying always spend money, but I think it's a very great way to get some targeted ads going, or targeted audience, and just see how people interact with your stuff. I find a lot of my sales actually come from Facebook. Whenever I do like a $5 or $20 ad on Facebook, it will actually get a lot of traffic through to my site. So it can be worth it every so often. But the newest feature that I really, really love about Facebook is that they have this targeted audience feature, you guys. So you can export your mail list from MailChimp or wherever it is you have it, and you can import it into Facebook. This is awkward, but it's all secure, supposedly. So Facebook then goes and takes all those email addresses that you have on your email list, and they find people in Facebook who are your email subscribers, okay, number one. So now you can make ads just targeted to the people who've already opted in for your emails. And then they have this thing called related audiences, I believe is what it's called, where I can now go and ask Facebook to find all the people that are like my email subscribers. They have the same habits, they like the same types of pages on Facebook, et cetera, similar audience, excuse me, that's what it's called. So then Facebook goes out and finds these similar audiences for me, and I can then target ads just to them. And when I say ad, it could just be your latest blog, your latest Facebook post, which could be your latest blog post, or it could be a product that your people are very similar to people who've already signed up for your email list. So their similar audience feature is a super great feature. If you're considering letting go of your Facebook page, I would say, I know this sounds crazy, I would say try and spend a few bucks in Facebook ads and really target it down to only women between the age of this and that who've expressed an interest in social media and XYZ. Like, you can really target with Facebook and just see if that gets more of a response before you let it go, because I think that you'd still get a lot of traffic. And I know specifically with your brand, we're working with a lot of women who are going to be on Facebook, and they're going to use Facebook for their businesses. So it might be worth kind of still hanging on to, and then everyone check out that similar audience feature. I think that's really great. Let me know if that didn't answer you. And I'm going to grab Maru's question. really quickly, and then I will do a few more things on our worksheet, and then grab more questions, okay? So Maru asked, had to, of course, thank you for noticing, it's new. How can you reach more people with each Facebook post? Sometimes you only reach a very small part of your followers within certain publications or with certain publications. That's a great question, Maru. It's totally true. If you've read all the marketers lately, they're saying that the Facebook algorithm has changed again, and Facebook is showing our stuff as business owners, as page owners, blog owners, to less people. And so that can be quite frustrating. So I think there are maybe 2 or 3 tips that you could use to get more eyes on your page. So number one, the way the algorithm works is very simple in the sense of the more likes, the more shares, and the more interaction each post gets, the more people Facebook shows it to. It's a way of doing social proof, right? If a few people are liking it, let's show it to some more, and they like it, then okay, it's probably a good post. We'll show it to lots of people. So the way to actually get those initial likes is to post very visually appealing content that's going to stand out in somebody's Facebook feed as they're scrolling through. Oh, so-and-so has another baby. Okay, well, yeah, somebody hates their job. Same old stuff. Then, bam, this beautiful image that you've posted pops up. So images are very important. Using Facebook's built-in link feature is a new important thing to do because they give preference to links that are added in the way they want them to be added to. So you know when you're making a Facebook post, you'll see this feature that lets you add a link. So you add it in that way, which brings its own image preview up. You can't necessarily add an image on top of that, but it'll bring its own image preview up, and Facebook likes when you do links like that. So if you're linking to a blog post, they're more likely to show it if you do it that traditional way that they want you to. But then other than that, I would say, and I see a lot of people do this, and it works sometimes. I wouldn't do this all the time. But if you have like a Q&A or something really fun that you've posted on Facebook that you want other people to take notice of and comment on and interact with, you can actually post that in different social platforms. You might tweet a link to that Facebook photo. You might send it out in Google Plus and in a number of different ways. But then also, lastly, again, you can promote each and every single Facebook post you add. You can actually promote that with a few dollars. And you might do that every so often just so you're getting more interaction and people are remembering your page. And then actually, I'm sorry, this is my last tip. I would actually just ask your followers to get notifications from you on Facebook. So I can like your page, that's one level, but I can also roll my mouse over the like button and then select the get notifications option, which means that every single time you post something, I'm going to get notified as if it's an update in my feed, like so-and-so tagged you in a post, da-da-da-da. It's in those notifications that are specific to me. I'll get that. So I would just do a quick little tutorial or a screenshot showing your followers how to subscribe to you by getting notifications, and then ask people to do that if they want to stay up on your stuff. I've seen a lot of bloggers do that in a classy way, and I get notifications from a lot of people, so it really helps. So anyway, I hope that kind of answers your question. Let me know if not. Thank you for that question, by the way. So really briefly, and I'm going to grab some more questions after this, but really briefly I want to talk on our spreadsheet about, worksheet, don't judge me, about the 5 things you can do within each post to make it more shareable on social media, in theory there. And then I want to answer, after that, I want to answer Colleen's question that she sent in ahead of time about what are actual ways outside of social media that you can start to grow your blog traffic. And I know this is a hangout about social media, but I think it was a great question, so I'm going to get that after that. But first off, what are 5 things you can do within each post to make it more shareable? So I hope you printed off your Share Ready blog checklist. Should look something like this. It's on my site if you hadn't gotten it already. And I just want to point out the things that I think are just 5 most important things off of this list. If you only do 5 things, do these 5 things type of situation, whatever. Number 1 would be an attractive image with each post. And I'm going to go quickly on these so I can get some more questions. An attractive image with each post, and it needs to be on brand. And I would do screen share, except I can't, but people who do this really well, okay, are EricaGibson.com. I think she does a really great job of using the same type of image each time she posts. It looks very, similar. It's not the same image, but it has a similar style, and it has her little watermark on it. Very smart. Another person who does that really well is Erica Madden. I use total 2 Erica references, and her website is olivia.co, OLYVIA.co. I hope I spelled that right. She has this really great image that goes with every single post. It uses the same type of fonts, and it has a similar appearance, so you can tell she probably made a style guide for her images. Super important because people will start to get used to that image that you include. So that's number 1. Number 2, a question, prompt, or call to action of some sort with each post. It does not have to be some major, huge button. It doesn't have to be some epic, leave me all your thoughts, or your most embarrassing childhood story type thing. But even if you just ask a small type of question that requires even an internal response, even if the person doesn't necessarily respond in the moment, if you kind of engage somebody on that level, they're more likely to remember your post and to share your post. So something that requires a response or a challenge, something you want people to do. Also, just ask for the tweet. Tell people to tweet this article to 3 people they think who need to hear it that day, or whatever it may be. So number 2, that's another important thing. Number 3, images with your web address or a logo/watermark on them. And again, that's when I was telling you about EricaGibson.com. She does a great job of putting that watermark on it. If you look on my site, byRegina.com, at the bottom of every single image that goes with my blog post, you'll see my web address on it. And I think that repetition helps people get used to your address. And then also, as Erica pointed out in her most recent post on EricaGibson.com, if you have that watermark or your web address on each image, even if it gets lost in the land of Pinterest and people have miscredited and all of that other stuff, which happens, someone will know how to get back to your site because it has your web address on it. Another thing is an active use of an SEO plugin or great SEO practices. I really recommend the Yoast plugin if you're using WordPress. I know everyone talks about it, but just Google SEO by Yoast, Y-O-A-S-T. For that plugin, it does amazing things. And then my last thing, I think I'm on my last thing. If I miscounted that, don't anyone tell me about it and don't make fun of me. Last thing, 5 or more pieces of what I call cornerstone content. Cornerstone content is the type of content you want your entire brand to be known by. And I so wish I could get a screen share to work because I wanted to share some posts with you. If you're on Erica Madden's site, olivia.co, she has a post on 26 ways to help people to make you look credible online. Of course, I'm butchering her title. I'm sorry. But it's very, very epic post, has such great tips. And so this could be a cornerstone piece of her content that she wants her brand to be known by. She is the one who can help you look credible online. If you're on my site, if you're familiar with my blog, my cornerstone content might be my post on how to write a blog business plan. If you've ever looked at it, it's super long. It's overwhelmingly long. I apologize, but it is teaching you how to write an entire business plan. So that might be cornerstone content. Also, maybe my 33 things to do when you're ready to get serious about blogging piece. Okay, so cornerstone content, again, build stuff that you want your brand to be known by. It inherently is shareable. People want to share it. When you put a lot of time into it, I would make it a tutorial. I would add pictures. I would add a download to it, something to make it epic. So those are my top 5 tips. I hope that was 5 off of our Share Ready blog checklist. But what I would encourage you to do is look that over. There are like 38 points on here or something like that. Look that over and be honest with yourself about how many you implement on a regular basis and find 5 new ones that you're going to start doing. And then you'll notice on our worksheets, the top of that first one was like, what are 5 methods I'm going to implement to get my blog more share ready? So I'd really recommend doing that. So I'm going to grab some more questions. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at some of the comments on the side. So anyway, I'm going to grab some more questions from the side. Thank you. You can also see that Erica was sharing the link over there for any of the worksheets and stuff that you need. And okay, so I'm going to grab this question by Colleen. I haven't started a Facebook page yet. It's the one that intimidates me. Gotcha. How would you best go about it without dumping a bunch of time in? Just auto-post your new blog post, or is there more you need to do? Ooh, that's a really, really great question. If you're just starting with Facebook, I would say no. Do not just auto-dump your blog post in there. That's great to link to them. Make sure you're adding some really custom commentary to each one. I'm sure you would do that anyway, Colleen. You have a beautiful brand. I love her stuff. LemonThistle.com, I believe, is the brand. But anyway, make sure you're adding some really, really unique commentary that will show people what the benefit is of clicking on it, or just some kind of funny introduction. You had a recent DIY on your blog that was totally awesome. Maybe before and after pictures of what you did with the basement. Stuff like that. So it's just so epic you kind of have to click on it. But I would start using Facebook. If you're just starting, I would start sharing other people's stuff and linking to them, letting them know that you've shared their stuff. And I would start by actually just spending a few dollars with their ad program. I promise Facebook is not paying me. I just think it's helpful. When I was starting a food blog with a friend, what we did before we had ever even launched the site was just targeted it down to women who've expressed interest in gluten-free eating. We just did all this targeting and spent $10 a day for 5 days and had, hundreds of likes on our page. And it's not going to be the same for everyone, you all, but that's the great thing about Facebook is how very specific you can get with the targeting. So I would just advertise my page in general to a specific audience for a few days, maybe a week on Facebook. You can set your budget so you never go over. And then once you have that initial buildup of followers, you can go from there. But if you don't want to spend a lot of time, maybe just spend a few dollars in that area and encourage, obviously, all of your blog readers to go over there. Maybe you do a giveaway just on Facebook just for people who follow you on Facebook as far as just getting started. I definitely say spend a little money, but only after you've done a super beautiful custom cover photo, profile photo, filled in your little tabs that link to Pinterest, link to Instagram, link to your mail list, and you have some good content built up. So you would want to have at least 5 to 10 posts already built up before you start spending money advertising your page, okay? So I hope that answered, Colleen. Let me know if not. And I'm just trying to see if we're looking at if we have any more questions over here that I didn't get to. So then one more thing that I want to share too before we get off. I didn't actually mean to take this whole hour up, but one more thing I wanted to do was answer a question from Julie. And this is really brief, and actually I don't know how I'll do it without screen share, but Julie asked, how do you verify your website on Google Plus and Pinterest, or for Google Plus and Pinterest? Is there a way to do it through your dashboard if you have a self-hosted WordPress? So people are saying that my screen share is working when I'm doing it, and I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. But in answer to your question, Julie, you definitely can do that through WordPress dashboard. You said that the code snippet needed to be plugged in to your header document. So what you would do in WordPress dashboard is go to Appearance and then Editor, and then you'd find your header.php document, and then you would plug the code in after the head tag, the opening head tag, which is the word head in alligator mouths, greater than, less than, and you would plug it in there and update your site. If you're a little uncomfortable with code, I'd have like a developer help you, or afterwards, and I can show you when I really have screen share working. But it's a very simple thing that you can do from your WordPress dashboard. Okay. And I'm just checking to see if we have any other questions over here before I wrap it up. And please let me know. Okay, I see one here. All right. So Fiona asked, what stats are important to use to measure growth with social media? That's a really good question. So most of the social media platforms have their own analytics built in. Pinterest Analytics is a new one that is like mind-blowingly awesome in my opinion. But so stats that are most important. So it's not only about followers, as we discussed at the beginning. It's not about numbers. It's about how active and how interactive those people are, because we have to remember those are real people behind each number. It's not just it is an actual person. So I think what you want to look at is how engaged people are with your analytics. I mean, with your social media. So I keep a spreadsheet personally that shows the growth in terms of numbers for my different platforms, and I think that's great for you because it shows you like, oh wow, like I have more Instagram followers than I did last week. So definitely do that. But I would say look at how many people are really interacting with your stuff, and I will get more specific with this. Maybe in a tutorial, but on Twitter analytics and Pinterest analytics and even Facebook, what you're looking for is interactivity. So it will actually tell you how many people engaged with your posts, how many people, for example, on Twitter retweeted, liked, clicked on those links. You want to know when I'm sending out blog posts of my own, are people clicking on the links and going to read them? When I'm tweeting other people's blog posts, are they clicking on links? So it'll tell you that. The same with Facebook, how many people liked this, how many people took an action on this link. That is all important. If you use a tool like byRegina.com, then you'll be able to see what your most effective posts were each week within each platform. So it kind of compiles all that information in one place for you. So stats that I think are important are just, and did people take action on the post? So I don't know if that's exactly what you meant with your question, Fiona, but I would definitely look. Twitter analytics is available for everyone now. Pinterest analytics is new. Well, it's not new, but the way they're doing it now is new and it's awesome. So if you have a business account with Pinterest, you can see that. If not, you can upgrade your personal account to a business account. And then Facebook pages also have their own insight. Even YouTube has YouTube Insight, and you can tell when people are dropping off your video, when they're pausing, when they're rewinding, all of that good stuff. So anyway, oh, Kayla, you're the best. Thank you. I see this comment on the side. So I'm checking to see if there are any more comments, and I think I got to all of the questions on my iPad here. Yes, so next time I promise to have my screen share situation worked out. I apologize for that. But the sites that I referenced during the call were Olivia.co and EricaGibson.com. And actually, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, but MayaElias.com is a really great site that you could check out as far as somebody who uses blog post images really, really well. And so if I get this wrong, I apologize, but it's Maya, MayaElious.com, I believe. Sorry, Maya, if that's incorrect. I'll apologize. But anyway, so yes, so that's kind of my wrap up. I was to go through the rest of this sheet again, our checklist on share your blog, share ready. And if you have any follow-up questions, totally tweet them to me, and I'll try and take time to answer them. And thank you for participating. I really appreciate it. I will have a more interactive presentation next time on our sophisticated blogging. I plan to have some guests as well who can give some insight into different things. But I appreciate it, you guys, and thank you for joining. And, oh, I guess I marked that I'm done answering that question. But anyway, yeah, love you guys. And I'll just be here finishing my happy hour. Y'all do the same. And thanks for tuning in. All right, bye.